ஒரு நிமிஷம். இன்னும் ஒரு செட்டப் மட்டும் பண்ணிட்டு நான் தொடர்ந்து.
Dear participants, please mute your audio because a lot of echoes are coming. Charles?
Yes, I am ready, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, dear friends. I welcome you to another interesting session, which will be given by Dr. A.V. Jayagopal. He is a retired additional director from Atomic Mineral Directorate, Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. And his topic is on atomic minerals exploration in our national building. When I talk about Dr. Jayagopal, Dr. Jayagopal has completed his BSc and MSc Geology from Presidency College, Chennai in 78 and 1980. And he's completed his PhD from Bangalore University in 1995. Dr. Jayagopal joined AMD in 1981 as a field exploration geologist. And he has worked as field exploration geologist in various positions until 2004. From 2004 and 2012, he was promoted as scientific officer G grade, and he was in charge of Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan state in AMD operations. And from 2012 and 2015, he was a deputy regional director. It was actually scientific officer H grade in Northeast region, Shillong. Dr. Jayagopal has been promoted as additional director for southern, western, northeastern regions in 2015, and up to 2018 he was holding that post. And he was promoted as additional director and H plus grade in 2018, and he was retired. And he has retired from the government service, but he still is a member in Exploration Research Advisory Committee of AMD. I can list out his scientific contributions. So many contributions, sir. I have quickly read out because time is going. Dr. A.V. Jayagopal is involved in discovering classic carbonate hosted Tummalapalli uranium deposits, Kadapa district, and it is the world's one of the largest uranium hosting deposits. It's producing around 1,60,000 tons. And he is also involved in commercial mine. He has established uranium deposits like Gandanpalle in Kadapa district. He has established uranium and RE mineralization in the Sivana ring complex in Balmar district, Rajasthan. He has established low-grade multi-metallic uranium deposits in West Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh. He has discovered unconformity-related uranium deposits in Kapartula area of Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. He has discovered and disseminated uranium mineral deposits in Mastipuram area of Varanaparthi district, Telangana. And he has established South Central Regional Office for AMD in Hyderabad. So all these are his findings, and over this 37 years of his experience, he has done so many things. And he is also a life member in many societies, and he is a member in many professional organizations. And he has been awarded as adjunct professor in Homi Bhabha National Institute, AMD Complex, Hyderabad. He has published more than 40 referred national and international journals. So he has published papers in all these journals. And I can say so many things for Dr. A.V. Jayagopal, and I can take 1 hour of his time. So I'm just stopping here, and I request our respected, esteemed resource person to present his presentation. Thank you, sir. Dr. A.V. Jayagopal, sir, please.
Thank you. I will share my slide. First of all, I welcome everybody, and my greetings to each and everyone. At the outset, I congratulate Professor Devanathan, Principal, Presidency Autonomous College, Professor B. Gautam, Head of the Department Geology, and also convener of this webinar program, and Mr. Charles, who is the organizing secretary of this. My co-speakers and research scholars and people who are viewing this program in YouTube from far off places. So let me talk about my topic. Yes. My topic is slightly different in the sense, this is regarding the energy or the electricity. See, I often wonder, geologists, or if when you go to a public and ask about geology, I don't know how many people will be able to say what is geology. That is because of the reason we are not like doctors or construction engineers or agriculture people. So their output or their end product is directly matters or felt by the common man in day-to-day life. In this way, I am talking about atomic energy, which matters in our life. Of course, say for example, even we use common man use minerals and right from the time he gets up and go to the bed. For example, mobile. See, mobile main component is a chip that is made up of the rare earth element. So that's how geology is very important for a man in day-to-day life. I'm going to talk about one such aspect, that is energy or the electricity. We are going to see what is atomic energy, what is atomic minerals, how it is explored, and where it is explored. And atomic energy, because many people may not be well aware of atomic energy. Atomic energy is just like any other energy, say thermal energy. In thermal energy, you use coal in the power plants, thermal power plants. It is very same here also. Instead of coal, it is uranium or thorium. The setup where this uranium fuel gives energy converted into electricity is called reactor. So with this simple understanding, let us go ahead. Okay. So let us see the present position of in India. So in 2007, our installed capacity was about 150 gigawatts. It has increased to 350 gigawatts in 2018, and we are the third largest, only behind China and USA. So International Energy Agency projects our demand will triple by 2000. It will triple by 2040.
Charles,
From 2013 till 17, about 115 million people have gained the access to electricity. That means they are given power. That
கொஞ்சம் மைக்கை வந்து கிட்ட வச்சுட்டு பேசுங்க சார். மைக்கை கிட்ட வச்சுங்க. அப்படி பேசுங்க.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So more than 115 people gained access to electricity. So raising of 80 to 86%. But without this enhanced power capacity, but still our reliability is not up to the mark. So in 2018, Global Competitive Report has ranked us 80 among 137 countries in the reliability break area. It is going to increase by 156% by 2040 because of our prosperity and population growth. All these things are required telling about the power positions. Let us go to it. So we have been talking about the energy. Energy is given by many sources. Basically, we can classify into non-renewable source and the renewable source. Non-renewable source means once it is taken out from the mother earth, it is exhausted. So it is something like coal, natural gas, oil, or called the fossil fuels. Of course, nuclear. And renewable energy is replenishable, like rainwater, solar, wind, and all. So here the nuclear energy is you can fit into both the things. Nuclear energy in the reactor, you give the uranium which is taken out from the mother earth, but in the reactor, uranium, you see a lot of some people are talking. It's interrupting.
Online.
So in uranium is also called the non-renewable, also renewable, because when the initially we will be seeing that the latter phase of my talk, that to start with, you feed the reactor with uranium, which is taken out of mother earth, but later on, this uranium breeds into multiple byproducts which serve as the fuel in subsequent stages. So this is about the distribution of electricity percentage-wise. You see the fossil fuels are contributing about 63%. Say coal is 54%, gas is about 7% and all. So hydro is 12%, nuclear is only meager 2%. And RES is renewable energy sources. So this is the pie diagram. Same data I have put. You can visualize it better because the coal is contributing about more than 0.5%. You see, coal is good, fine, no problem. But you see the emission of these fossil fuels, the CO2, it is going to double by 2040.
Jayagopal
That
sir.
means it is going to, yeah.
Jayagopal sir,
tell
please,
me.
please keep your mic nearby, sir.
Okay.
And
So it will increase.
don't allow mic to
Are
shake.
you here?
Yeah, little buffering is there.
Is it
Little
okay?
buffering is there. Please don't shake the mic. Please just keep the mic nearby your face. That's all.
Okay. Are you able to hear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please continue, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the emission is going to increase by 14% by 2040. So what is the effect of all these things? See, all of us now, we are well aware of global warming and all. The global warming main culprit is the CO2. So yesterday, one of our friends were talking about the Madras flood of 2015, and some scientists have related that the El Nino phenomena which has happened in the ocean. So these are all caused by the global warming, that is by the CO2. And again, of course, the vehicle population and all. So we want a clean energy. We want a better energy. So in that way, we have to look for, and not only that, these fossil energies are also required for future generation. So we have to go for the energies which are renewable. In that way, nuclear energy is important. Why nuclear energy is needed for us? Let me see energy equivalent. 1 kg of enriched uranium can give energy equal to 100 tons of high-grade coal and 60 tons of oil. And it protects the air quality. It is zero emission. According to one estimate, about more than 14,000 million tons of carbon dioxide between 95 and 16, say equivalent to removing about 3 billion cars from the road, were reduced because of the global warming. Another thing is, it occupies a very small place. It occupies about, say, about 1,000 megawatt, which is in Kodamkulam. Similar to that, I'm not talking about Kodamkulam specifically. It is for the understanding. So, windmill requires 360 times, and solar requires 75 times the space. And it is a minimal waste. And this is about the nuclear energy. So we can think of the hydro. Hydro is having the problem of the rivers. You see, everybody cannot stay near a river. So only some nature has gifted only to some states. Whereas this nuclear energy can be planned, that is, reactors can be at any place. So this is about some positive points about the nuclear energy. So let us know what is the nuclear energy. So nuclear energy is the energy contained in the core of the atom. That's called nucleus. So nuclear energy can be used to generate electricity. It can be released in two ways. One is nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. So the nuclear fission is splitting of a large atom into smaller atoms. So there is a difference between the weights of these two, small atoms and large atom. That difference of weight is converted into energy. So this setup happens in reactors, where the splitting of a larger atom into smaller atoms and the release of energy, that energy is converted through the intermediate steps. Finally, we get the electricity. So in nuclear fusion, it is other way. Two small atoms are fused, and in that the energy is released. So that's what happens in sun. Helium atoms are combined under very high temperature. They are fused. Can you imagine what is the amount of energy released from the sun? So these are the two things. So why I am talking about this? So the atomic minerals are the basic fuels for this nuclear energy. So how important the energy in our daily life goes without my saying. So let us know how the history of this nuclear energy in our country. In many countries, atomic program came as the offspring of their strategic program or the related military research. Whereas in India, it became as an objective to improve our quality of life and also self-reliance. On these objectives, 10th August 1948, Government of India constituted Atomic Energy Commission under Atomic Energy Act 1962 to establish the atomic energy program. And the minerals comes under this act are called atomic minerals, like uranium, thorium, beryllium, niobium, tantalum, and all, which are all used in the atomic energy program. So when this Atomic Energy Commission was formulated, our great scientists like Homi Bhabha, they wanted to review what is the availability of raw materials like uranium and thorium. Based on that, they wanted to target energy program. They found that we have got limited uranium resources, but vast thorium resources, which is one of the largest in the world. So Dr. Baba, Homi Baba, who is the father of Atomic Energy Program of India, conceived 3-stage nuclear power program for different uses of energy. So this 3-stage program is what fuel cycle, where the spent fuel of the previous stage is used as the fuel for the next stage. So this covers manifold energy potential of the fuel and reduces the quantity of the waste generated. This is the diagrammatic representation of what I have talked. We have got a 3-stage nuclear power plant. First stage is pressurized heavy water reactor, where our natural uranium is used, and the purpose is to use to build the fissile inventory. The next here we get the plutonium. This plutonium is used as a blanket with the uranium 32, that is thorium 32. Thorium 232. This is converted into 233 by the plutonium. Then this U233 is put around the natural thorium, which we get from the east and west coast of India as beach sands in form of monazite and all. So finally, with the limited resource of uranium through the intermediate stages, we are going to use our vast resource of thorium so that we are the self-sufficient and we are also in a position to supply anybody. It's a vast resource. And these are about how the uranium helps in producing energy and all, but it is not an easy thing. There are a lot of challenges in the world. See, we have tested the Pokhran-1 in 1974 and Pokhran 98. So we have shown our nuclear capabilities to the world, and so there is a technology denial. And there is one NNP, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which makes all the other countries to visit our facilities and research activities, in which we are not interested, because we want to excel. Hello. Audio signal. Internet. Then I will convert into another thing. But there will be a break, no? You are not getting my voice. Okay. But if I have to change the internet, I have to change it other source, no? Okay. Now there will be, I have to cut it again, enter, no? Okay.
Sir, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Sir, can you hear me?
Gautam,
Sir, கேக்குதா நான் பேசுறது கேக்குதா?
hello. Gautam,
சார் நான் பேசுறது கேக்குதா சார்? சார் நான் பேசுறது கேக்குதா சார்?
hello.
சார் நீங்க கனெக்ட்
இப்போ
பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா
கேக்குதா?
கண்டினியூ பண்ணுங்க. நீங்க கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா கண்டினியூ பண்ணுங்க.
So what are the challenges? We have shown our capabilities in 74 and 98 by the Pokhran testers. So then naturally our capabilities are absorbed by the entire international community. Then another non-nuclear, non-proliferation treaty, which allows all the activities, research activities to be viewed by each and everybody. And the another prohibiting pest is about the cost. It is very costly. Initial cost. As the time passes, the cost will come down. And the non-availability of high grade uranium fuel. So we require vast electricity. So, but the main issue is about, we can see about the site selection and public acceptance. So people are not aware of what is atomic energy, and there are a lot of misconceptions. So there is a lot of awareness is required. So there is a problem in this nuclear industry. And finally, it is not about any energy which is good or which is bad. We require different sources provide for different benefits. Each energy has got its own negative and positive. We want the combined sources. But only thing is uranium has got a lot of positive points. So this is about the, many people have got the misconception about the dangers of the nuclear energy. So there is one estimate which says there is a death about this coal industry 161, oil is 36, natural gas so much involved, whereas nuclear is supposed to be this much. Now coming to our main thing, our geology. So we have talked about the atomic energy, how it is created, and what are its utilities, and what are the challenges. Now our main business comes, how geology comes into play in this atomic energy. I may not be surprised, but many of the students or the many people may not be knowing how the geologists are being engaged in nuclear industry, that is atomic energy. This presentation will help them. First is the nuclear fuel cycle, which describes from the exploration from the one end to the another end. That is exploration to the waste management. So uranium exploration is done by the Atomic Mineral Directorate for exploration and research. That is, it deals with the exploration and evaluation. It talks about the exploration, the grade, depth, tonnage, leachability, and all the technical aspects of that. And it's 3D, where it is rich, where it is poor, all those data is done by the AMD. Then when it is established that is sufficient quantity and quality is available, it is taken over by UCIL, Uranium Corporation of India Limited. They do the mining and metallurgy. They, at the end product, they give called LOK, ammonium diuranate. This is the basic product which is supplied to nuclear fuel complex, where they are preparing this nuclear fuel assembly which are required to be set up in these reactors. They are called bundles. Here the nuclear energy power is created. Then the leftover of waste is managed called by waste management cell. So you can see geologists are involved here. And again in waste management cell. So from the forend to the back end, geologists play a very, very important role in nuclear fuel cycle. Then let us see how the uranium is explored. So there are three components. One is field component, and what are the stages, and the laboratory. So the field, it is a remote sensing followed by the geophysical and ground surveys and geochemical surveys. Then it is in geological ground surveys, we got reconnaissance, semi-detailed, detail. And it is when you find something with all this background, geological input, remote sensing input, geochemical input, when you delineate and ground gamma ray spectrometry, this is the basic tool for a field geologist. These are the eyes of a field geologist, that is uranium geologist. Without this, you cannot identify the radioactivity. So with this, all these tools, with all his tools, he goes for the survey, and if he gets some activity, that's called a reconnaissance stage. Then when you get something interesting, then you take up the drilling, that's called exploratory. When you find something continuous in the down dip, that is in the underground also, you will do in a regular systematic way, that's called evaluation. Then the reserve estimation, then we see the beneficiation, the called leachability, how much uranium we can be taken out, and then the evaluation. So these are the different scales, regional scale, sub-regional scale, and it is a big topic because the constraint of time, I can't go into these details. And then at the different stages, in the remote sensing stage, we do literature survey and geophysical and the geochemical ground survey and all, photogeology and all. Then when it comes to the ground reconnaissance and semi-detailed surveys, we do the petromineralogy and analytical study and all isotopic study and all. And when it comes to drilling and reserve estimation, finally the overdressing, where the mineral beneficiation, what acid you use, how much oxidant you have to use, what is the time you have to allow, all those things are characterized. Then coming to our main business, where do you find uranium in India? So in uranium is found basically in 5 geological entities. One is a Kadapa uranium province, where we get this unique carbonated strata bond Tumalapalli, Rachakuntapalli. This is what Mr. Gautam was referring. More than 1 lakh tons of uranium has been established. This is a world-class deposit. It has been identified as a type by itself. IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has classified, has given a status of a type by itself. Then comes the unconformity type. In this strata bond type occurs in the southern Kadapas. I will show in the map subsequently. And this unconformity type occurs in the northern part of Kadapa basin. They are occurring in Lambapur, Pedagattu, Nalgonda, in Telangana, in Guntur district, Kopunuru. Next is the Singhbhum uranium province. This is Domesiat, Wakin, Wakur, Gomagat, and all in Meghalaya. Next is Albitite, that is in Rohil, Sikar district, Rajasthan. Another Bhima basin, that is Karnataka, in Yadgiri district, Goki. So we will see the contribution from the different types. The carbonate type is more than 50%, metamorphite is 26%, sandstone, this is occurring in Mahadax, Meghalaya, is 9%, Proterozoic unconformity, this is in northern Kadapa, 8%. Metsamata is, there are small contribution, 3%. And granite late at 1.56. Proterozoic QPC is 0.1%. Then we can see the same thing here. We can see this is a proterozoic. This is a map of India broadly. Actually, uranium mainly occurs with the basin, sedimentary basins rather than igneous complex. So it is mainly in the Proterozoic and Phanerozoic basins, not in the Archean basement crystallines. Of course, we get, but they are very limited. So these are Proterozoic basins, which are in blue color, and this magenta is the Phanerozoic basins. In this setup, broad geological setup, we get unconformity type Proterozoic basins and strata-bound mineralization. Then in Phanerozoic, you get the sandstone type equal to sandstone type of the US and many advanced countries. And we get vein and metsomatite type. And in the QPC, this is a very interesting type, which talks about the transition between the anoxic and oxic conditions in the base of the Baba Buddhans and the iron ore series and all. Then we get the one calcrete type, which is associated with the calcretes of the modern days. The same thing I am talking about the deposit wise. One is this Tumalapalli, and this Lambapur, and this Jaduguda, this Singhput shear zone, and this is Damasiat, that is in Meghalaya, and the Rohil, it's in Rajasthan, and Karnataka, Gobi. Now we are coming to the further details. The first and foremost, which contributes more than 50%, is this strata bound. It is about 160 kilometers, a vast belt. But we can't say the entire belt how much potential is, but the central belt about 7 kilometers around Tumalapalli, Rachapalli is more than 1 lakh tons of uranium has been established so far, and it is continuing. It is very, very, very fantastic deposit. So one entire lecture can be on this type. So but the time constraint is there. I can't go much detail into that. It is one of the laurels for our country. It is the best deposit. It is associated with the Vempalle dollar stone. It is strata bound. It has got very characteristic features. And then comes the unconformity type. These things are Lambapur, Pedagattu, and Chitriya. These are the Srisalem outliers resting over the peninsular gneiss and placer granites. So that unconformity is mineralized. This is comparable to the Canada and Australia. But the difference is there you get the pelitic sediments as the basement, whereas here you get the granitoids as the basement. So the pelitic sediments are better than the granites. This is about the Singhbum shear zone. Here only the first uranium mines have been started. Very famous Turamudi, Narva Botin, and Moldi, Bandurong, and also entire belt is mineralized. And number of uranium deposits are there and occurrences are there. And it is ever green, just like our strata bound of the South Kadapa Basin. This is about the albitite type. This is something like a metastematic type. The origin is still not clear, but the presence of albite it's called as a albitite. Due to many geological process, the albitite is formed. In the dilation zones, we get uranium mineralization as lenses. This is one of the very prospective areas. Number of areas are, this is the basin. This is North Delhi Fault Belt. This Delhi Fault belts are divided into North Delhi and South Delhi. At the contact of the, they call the contact of certain Kali-Guman lineament, you get this mineralization. It is quite interesting and ever potential. Another area, of course, South Aravalli also, Umra and all, it is all related with the calc silicates and or the calc metasediments. And coming to the South India, we have this Karnataka, where the Jala map of Bhima Basin is displayed. These are the various faults dissecting this upper Proterozoic Bhima Basin. These faults are mineralized. This Gobi, this another unconformity type. The importance of this is the highest grade of uranium in India. For the certain specific reasons, I cannot discuss about any grade or thickness and all. It is only what I am talking is only about the geological aspects. Then we are coming to the of course end of our talk. Uranium is, I talked about this Atomic Energy Act 1962 deals with the uranium, thorium, rare earth and rare metals which are used in the atomic industry. In this RMRE, what we call, include the columbium tantalum, spodumene, lepidolite, xenotime. They are main sources from the pegmatites and riverine places as the residual deposits. The other source is the mica, Bihar belt, Rajasthan belt, Nellore belt, and also alkaline complex of Andhra Pradesh, and pegmatites including the greenstone belts in Karnataka and all. How we go about this? We do basically a first survey with geological work. We will locate the pegmatites. Of course, pegmatites are marked in the map and all. The specific type of pegmatite is required, whether it is zoned or unzoned. Unzoned pegmatite can't give you anything. The zoned pegmatite is required. Once the pegmatite is required, we go for this the presence of residual or pleasures. Then once we find some columbium, tantalum, or any these RMRE minerals are found, we go for the detailed pitting and sampling and the beneficiation process. Then we come to the other very important field of Atomic Mineral Directorate, that is B sands, where you look for monazite. They occur mainly in the east and west coast of Indian Peninsula. The minerals are monazite, ilmenite, rutile, zircon, garnet, and sillimanite. This is explored mainly by auger drilling and other sonic drilling. Now recently techniques are updated. Though are estimated mainly by the individual samples and composite samples. They will see each mineral, how much by volume it is available, and it is calculated for kg or for the ton like. So this is about the map showing the beach sands and inland places. We can find these are Visakhapatnam coast, Dharampur and all. So this is beach sand deposits of Andhra Pradesh, and in Tamil Nadu, mostly it is in southern part, and in the western Kerala also we get a lot of deposits. So we are almost coming to an end of the talk. So we have seen why we require atomic energy when there are a number of sources are there. All sources are important. It is not a debate about the technology versus technology. It is only to see the advantages. So nuclear energy is, you know, how important the electricity for us. And population growth in India, we require a lot of energy. And also, in fact, per capita energy consumption is an index to judge your quality of life. So quality has to improve. So we require more energy. So more uranium. So in that scene, we have seen the what are the main important areas in India to look for uranium and also thorium and iron. Now come to an end. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Hello.
Sir, thank you. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, will you please go back to the slides of Kadapa map showing Kadapa? Hello, sir? Sir? Sir, will you please go to the... Hello?
He's talking mobile.
Sir?
My talk is over, no?
Yes, sir. நீங்க
You are
கடப்பா
seeing?
ஸ்லைடுக்கு போய் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ண சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன் நான் திரும்பி.
Okay.
மறுபடியும்
You want
ஒன்று
Kadapa slide?
எஸ் கீப் யுவர் ஹெட்ஃபோன் கரெக்டா மைக்கை வந்து பக்கத்துல வச்சுக்கோங்க சார்.
Sir.
ஓகே, அந்த கடப்பா ஸ்லைடுக்கு போங்க சார். அங்க இருந்து கொஞ்சம் சொன்னா போதும்.
Sir. Now you are seeing the entire talk, no?
டாக் ஐ ஹவ் சீன். அந்த கடப்பால கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணா நல்லா இருக்கும். அது நிறைய இன்ட்ரஸ்டிங்.
Entire talk you have seen, no? Sir.
சார் யூடியூப்லயே क्वेश्चंस வந்திருக்கு சார். நான் இப்ப அனுப்பிட்டுங்களா உங்களுக்கு?
அனுப்புங்க. ஒரு சார் வந்து கடப்பால போய் திரும்பி கொஞ்சம் கடப்பா சார்.
This is the Kadapa basin.
சார் இப்போ உங்களுக்கு வாட்ஸ்அப் அனுப்ப சார் யூடியூப்ல அந்த क्वेश्चन சார்.
Originally it was thought as a mid-proterozoic. So it's a proterozoic is divided into 3. That is the lower, middle, and upper. The lower to middle is kept around 1600 to 1800. The upper is kept around 900 to 800. So the Kadapa basin age is Paleoproterozoic to Upper Proterozoic. Because it is number of datings have been done. It has varying from 1 GA to 2 GA, which fits into the early Proterozoic. And this Palnad and Kurnool, they are about 800 to 900. This upper Neo-Proterozoic. So they are resting over the crystalline basement, that is peninsular knights with injections of the close-bed granite, and lot of schist belts are also abutting against it. So this contact is marked by the famous Eparchaean unconformity by the Gulcheru quartzite and conglomerate. So it is basically divided into the Vempali formation, and Gulcheru quartzite and Vempali constitute Papagani group. And from here, Pulivedla quartzite, Tadpatri shale, Gandikota quartzite, these are called as the Chitravadi group. This entire basin, it is called the Papagani basin. Actually speaking, this Kadapa is not a single basin. At one stretch, it has not formed. It's a tectonic basin. It is a mosaic. It is a mosaic of oval-shaped Papagani basin and a spindle-shaped Nallamalai basin, and this flat-lying Srisailam basin. First the Srisailam, first the Papagani basin has formed, and then because of tectonic upheaval, the sea has migrated towards the east. Then this Nallamalai sub-basin was formed. When this Nallamalai sub-basin has completed, there is again an upheaval, and then the migration towards the northwest. The Srisailam is formed. And again this plateau is uplifted, and the migration towards the north and also the south, the Kurnool and the Papagani, rather the Palnad basins are formed. There is a lot of interesting things are coming up in this. It is a wide potential deposit. In fact, when this is it's a huge topic. So, sir, this is a plate tectonics boundary. Here the Darwar Craton is there. Here it is the Eastern Ghat mobile belt, and there was a thrusting from here. Because of this, you get this concave shape. And coming to the uranium mineralization, we get 4 types here. One is this strata bound type, another is the unconformity type, and we get here also, they are called shear control. They are called Kasturi Gattu, and number of small mineralized zones are there. They are along this. Another very important zone is you are finding these small lineaments. These lineaments are occupied by the cataclasites. These cataclasites are also mineralized, and their contact between these sediments and these lineaments are also important. And another very important type of mineralization is coming up in the Gulcheru, originally what was thought as the thorium. Only now it is a lot of uranium mineralization is recorded along the fractures in the Gulcheru quartzites. So that's why the Kadapa basin is called as Kadapa uranium province.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you. There are some questions.
Hello.
Yes, there are some questions.
Hello.
Sir, there are some questions. Shall I ask, sir?
Yeah.
Hello. Sir? Jay Gopal, sir? Jay Gopal, sir?
Some audio problem is there.
Jay Gopal, sir? Jay Gopal, sir? Jay Gopal, sir? Hello.
Sir, call பண்ணி சொல்றேங்க சார்.
Any questions?
அவரோட இன்செர்ட்
Jay Gopal, sir? 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 Sir, can you hear me?
Any questions?
Sir, can you hear me? Jay Gopal, sir, can you hear me?
இல்ல சார், அவர் அந்த ஹெட்செட் லைட்டா நவத்தி இருப்பாங்க சார். சோ ask him to put the headset in clearly.
ஹெட்செட் எடுக்க சொல்லுங்க.
He's not using good, I thought.
Sir? Jay Gopal, sir? சார் அந்த ஹெட்செட் நல்லா கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல சொருங்க சார். ஹெட்செட் நல்லா இதுல சொருவுங்க சார். ஹெட்செட் சிஸ்டத்துல நல்லா சொருவுங்க சார். சார் கேக்குதுங்களா? கேக்குதுங்களா சார்? சார் கேக்குதா?
ஹலோ
சார் கேக்குதா சார்?
எனக்கு கேக்குது. உங்களுக்கு கேக்குதா அண்ணா?
மொபைல் ஆஃப் பண்ணிடுங்க சார். நான் பேசுறேன் சார். மொபைல் ஆஃப். There are some questions, sir. There are some questions. Yes. First thing is how AMD control manages the groundwater pollution in Tumapalli area where uranium is extracted. Because there in that Tumapalli groundwater pollution problem is major problem. Hello. 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 Sir, can you hear me, sir? Sir, can you hear me, sir?
It's the same problem, sir.
Or I will come into. Hello.
Sir.
Yes. Sir. Oh no. என்னோட வாய்ஸ் கேட்கலையா?
உங்க வாய்ஸ் கேக்குது சார். நான் சொல்றது உங்களுக்கு கேட்கல. அதான் சார் நீங்க அந்த ஹெட்போன்
can I come into the another headset வரட்டுமா?
பெஸ்ட் சார்.
ஹெட்ஃபோனை வந்து கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல நல்லா லேப்டாப்ல சொருவுங்க சார். இருங்க அப்படியே நீங்க அதுல பேசாதீங்க, நான் இதுல இருந்து பேசுறேன். ஹலோ கேக்குதுங்களா சார்? ஹெட்ஃபோன் எடுத்துருங்க.
கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல பேசுங்க.
Hello.
சார்
Hello.
சார் நீங்க இது போனை தள்ளி வச்சிருங்க, இதுல கேக்குதான்னு பார்க்கலாம். போனை தள்ளி வச்சிருங்க சார். கேக்குதுங்களா? ஹலோ,
ஒன்னும் கேட்கலையே.
ஹெட்ஃபோன்ல கேட்கலையா சார்? ஹெட்ஃபோனை சொருவுங்க சார்.
இல்ல சார், அவர் வேற ஹெட்ஃபோன் போட சொல்லுங்க சார். ஹெட்ஃபோன் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு சார்.
ஹெட்ஃபோனு
இதுல பேச முடியாது.
கொஞ்சம் வெளியில வந்துட்டு திருப்பி வேற இத இன்சர்ட் பண்ணட்டுமா?
சார் வேண்டாம், பரவாயில்ல சார். நோ ப்ராப்ளம். நாம we'll send the questions to you. You can type and send the answers. There are so many questions.
Yes,
இல்ல இப்ப இது
you can send the message. I'll go to that presentation.
இப்ப கேக்குதா சார்?
Message in this WhatsApp. I'll go to
சார்
that
இந்த
presentation.
நீங்க ஃபோன் பேசுறதும் அவர் பேசுறதும் இந்த ஃபோன் மூலமா கேக்குது.
நீங்க ஃபோன்லயே பதில் சொல்லுங்க. நான் லிங்க் பண்ணி விட்டுறேன்.
Okay.
The first question is in Thumapalli area there was a groundwater pollution problem.
Yeah.
And how you tackle that problem?
See, the groundwater pollution is we have got the in the taking ponds and all, lot of precautions have been taken, and the study has been done by the BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center, and they have found that pollution is not well proved, and because of the simple reason, there are the generations or people are living now with a lot of vegetation like plantain and lemon and lot things are coming up, and people are utilizing it. See, the pollution is, and a lot of things are coming up. There's active and counteractive. Unless detailed studies are completed and proper official representations and all comes, then they will be taken by the.
Okay.
Yeah, what we are talking is, and basically, as I told, I am not talking about the other technical. That's the basic thing.
Sir, I have a question. Sir?
Only I can entertain the geological position, not anything else. We are geologists. We are not public to talk about the geological aspect and the importance of the nuclear energy. And studied and by the expert groups, and it has to be sorted.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah.
Kindly elaborate how remote sensing was useful in Pokhran blast.
See, as I told, no, these things are all, it's not about the geologists. Geological students are need not worry about this, how the Pokhran tested and how it was monitored by aerial survey. Let them talk any geological questions. I will educate them.
Sir, I have got one question.
It's not about the atomic energy. It is not the purpose of this webinar, I understand.
Okay.
Sir, I have got a question.
Yeah, please tell me, sir.
Kanishkan.
Tell me, sir.
Can you hear me?
See, as I told, this webinar series about what I am talking about, the advantages and disadvantages of different sources to make the people. That's what the very purpose of my talk is, not to teach geology. This is what I wanted to say. This is to make the people to they can find a taste in geology on the atomic minerals. It is something like, when you come to a party or when you come to a big restaurant, you are given an appetizer, just like a soup, so that you will eat more. So the purpose of this talk is to make the geology student how the geology is important in atomic energy. Let them not get diverted into the pollution, how the Pokhran blasted. That is when they that is not the subject of this talk. And
Okay.
these questions cannot be geologists. Let them ask any how the mineralization takes place in Singhbum. I'll be very happy to answer. And that is not the
Okay,
purview
sir.
of this
Sir,
talk.
okay, sir. Okay. And what would be the source for beach places?
Yes. Beach
And
places.
are the beach places are feasible to take electricity? That was one other question.
Yes. See, beach places are derived from the inland granulites, pondlites, podorites, and also this is the provenance. This is the provenance for the beach sands. So regarding the one is two types of places. Yes. This pondlites, podorites, and all crystallines bordering the coast are the provenance for these beach sands. So how the beach sand can give uranium, that's what the student should, I think, whether it is not followed. That is the third stage of the Indian nuclear program to use the thorium. Thorium is from the monazite. From that thorium is extracted. That thorium is used in the power plants. That's how you cannot directly put the beach sand into a reactor.
Yes, yes, cannot.
Okay. The next question: what is the cutoff grade required for uranium and thorium explorations?
See,
What is the cutoff grade?
this cutoff grade internationally and all, it all depends upon the cost. Finally, the cutoff grade varies, and these are all not the marketable things available in the thing to. It is not for the public enterprise person to go for a cutoff grade and decide whether he has to go for it. It's only the government purview. It's any, as far as the public is concerned, it's anything. The general Clark's value. Let us talk about the geology. Clark's value of a granite is a general abundance, what we call a 4 ppm. In granite, it is 12 ppm, and it is much more also. When it is goes more than 200 or 300 ppm, it is taken as a cutoff. It varies from country to country. Yeah.
Why why thorium is mostly found on beaches
That's
in
all.
contiguous belt?
On the side.
Yeah, sure. See,
Tell me, sir. Tell me.
see, places are found. You know, the basic one reason is the places are found at the deltas or the rivers where it meets the beach. That is the provenance first stage. There is a number of cycles are there. First is in the coast, all the sediments from the inland are carried towards the ocean by so many small, big places, rather the rivers and rivulets and all. That's the first. Then there's a winnowing action by the ocean. The waves come and go and come. So they concentrate these minerals. So that's why they are segregated based on the specific gravity. Heavy minerals stay back as a sand, and the light mineral, which are quartz, feldspar, and all, taken away by the ocean. So they are by the continuous winnowing action, and the concentration takes place. So that's why there are two. If you see the eastern coast of India, if you see the regional, there are a few degrees of the rather the slope toward the ocean, eastern coast. So that's how most of our rivers are flowing toward the east. That is one. Then the question comes: why the Kerala then? Kerala, because you got the faulted margin. Again, there is the location for the concentrations.
Sir, will you please tell me about some tectonic aspects of that Kadapa basin? One of the question is there. Again, please explain the tectonic part of it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah, I'm coming. You are saying?
Tectonic
Basin?
belt of that. Yeah.
Now you are seeing Kadapa Basin, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. See, this is the basement where this unconformity, earthquake and unconformity. This is the craton, Eastern Darwan crater. Yesterday, our Dr. Nathan was talking about the early, rather the younger greenstone belt and older greenstone belt, close to granite, and the Baba Buddhan and all. So that's all the total Darwa craton. So in that, yes, in
Yes, sir.
that,
Yes.
this is Kadapa Basin is occurring in the younger eastern Darwa craton. So this is the craton, and this is supposed to be a tectonic basin called the rift basin. Lot of dikes are there. Because of the dikes, and you know, there is a lopolith just below this Papagani basin. Lot of basic dikes are intruding the basin and also outside the basin. This crustal, rather the thermal gradient, has melted the asthenosphere, and there are fundamental fractures. And when the fundamental fractures, crustal sinking. These crustal sinkings are the basic criteria for the rift basin. So once the rift basin has formed, here the sedimentation started with the Gulcher quartzite, Vempale limestone, and the Kulindra quartzite and Tadbatri shale, and then finally followed by Gandikota quartzite. And then, you know, this Rudravaram line. The Rudravaram line is along this is, as I told, this is the Nallamalai basin and the Papagani basin. Oldest is Papagani basin. This is the Nallamalai basin. The contact between is a thrust contact. It is named as Measuring and et al. They have called it as a Rudravaram basin, rather the lineament, and this is a thrust contact. And against this thrust only, this along this Papagani, the Nallamalais are thrusted. And this here, this is, yeah, yesterday he was talking about the thermal line and some suture zones and all. This is another suture zone. This is a suture zone. How the suture zones are identified? There are ophiolite suits here called chondra volcanics. And you get andesites and ultramafic rocks in this environment. With all these things, it is identified as a suture. It is again confirmed by the geophysical surveys, Kayla and et al. So
Okay.
this is, you know, this side is supposed to be the Western Australia. So what all the students know about is the plate tectonics of the post-Gondwanas.
Okay.
But plate tectonics has been active right from the Proterozoic. My paper is there. I identified the plate tectonics, which was in action during this time. That is responsible for the origin of Kadapa Basin. My paper is there in exploration and atomic research. Volume number, it was published in 2012. That is responsible for this mineralization and all. So this is the equivalent of the modern plate tectonics. There are actually plate tectonics happens at regular intervals, certain peaks like 2 by and say by the 0.6. There are 5 peaks are identified. So it is one of the oldest Precambrian tectonics we can call.
Okay, sir.
So it is quite a number of people are calling different names. This is one of the tectonic basins. The origin is due to the operation of plate tectonics.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And some more
Yeah.
questions are there.
Sure,
And
they can ask.
no, the time is already 11:10. So we'll
Okay.
conclude. The questions will be sent to you by mail, and you can respond to them also, sir. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. And thank you so much, sir. On behalf of our principal, department staff, organizing committee, and all of us in the students, I thank heartfully for a wonderful presentation. And we have
Okay.
shown,
Yeah.
we have seen the entire atomic resources of India, where it has been drilled and where it has been explored and all. We can hope for a separate lecture on Kadapa itself.
One thing I would like to say, I can, if you arrange this sort of, I would like to suggest you can bring out some volumes and all, and you can arrange a number of webinars. We can benefit of the student community. Number of each area can be one topic.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. And now I request the participants. Our next session will be on 2:30, so it will exactly start at 2:30. And all of you are requested to join Zoom or the YouTube by 2:20, so that exactly 2:30 the lecture will start. Thank you very much for as of now. Sir, please tell me, sir. Please tell me.
Let me thank